MAGA, please, just shut the fuck up. We are so sick of hearing from you, all of you. Just shut up.
Hey guys, we are back with another one. There is a reason I like to do these libtard videos. We've done quite a few of them now, but there is a specific reason behind it. It's not just for the humor, but you guys gotta think, for the past 4 years, on both sides of the border, we have been stuck in this situation where free speech has been pretty much well squished and stepped on, and we had to watch everything that we're saying. Since Donald Trump won the election, it's almost like that weight has been lifted. And yes, it's hard not to take advantage of it a little bit. I mean, it's not fully lifted yet. We do still have to be mindful of some words spoken on certain platforms. But I can just see in the comments, I enjoy reading the comments because, yes, there's a few people out there, a few channels out there that do the same thing that I do. They pretty much, well, lately have been basing their channels off of doing these liberal meltdown videos. Some of them present it more with humor. Other ones try and mix in a little bit of news stories with it and a little bit of clips to go along the way. I've been just sticking with the clips. And the reason being is I don't only go with the humorous ones. You guys will notice that. I'll go with ones to show you the absolute delusion in these people's brains. Because when I first started up my YouTube channel, it was to speak about politics. And now it's kind of the best of both worlds. I get to present you guys with clips that do have some humor or some disillusion, and then we get to have some discussion about it. I give you my point of view. And then in the comments, people will go on with their point of view. So it's almost like channels like mine at the moment are a place where we can kind of vent the past 4 years of frustration and reality. So it almost feels like we're building up kind of a community here over the past few weeks. I see there's a lot of you guys that do comment frequently. Other ones that are new, that are just jumping on board. A couple other people lately, though, I'm sure you guys have seen in the comments. There was a gentleman that took offense to my Trump shirt that I wore last video. To any viewers out there that may have found that shirt offensive, I found it more offensive that I, didn't look in a mirror after I was playing with my dog and then jumped on camera. I was more bothered about the dog fur that was on me. I only noticed that in edit, but I just said, forget it, I left it in. So there was a gentleman that took offense to the shirt I was wearing, Trump 2024, F your feelings. I'm sorry that viewer felt that way, but I'm a very straight and direct person, and that is how I think. We've had to watch ourselves around people's feelings for the past 4 years, and we don't have to do that anymore. We shouldn't have ever had to do it in the first place. That's not what my channel's about. I'm not here to pussyfoot with people and walk on eggshells. Unfortunately, if there's any viewers that don't like that, they don't have to watch. They're more than welcome to watch, but they don't have to. Honestly speaking, somebody who is on my channel, chances are you're a Trump supporter, chances are you're MAGA. A shirt like that shouldn't offend you. I'm sorry. I've kept you guys waiting for long enough, so we're gonna get into this. We're doing Whining Liberal Men Part 8 today. Let's go.
We need a freaking recount or a complete revote in this country.
Georgia! Today, Georgia! Georgia! Hey, I know you're going to vote today, Georgia.
Oh, one more fucking thing. Joe Biden was maybe the most underappreciated president ever. And probably the most progressive that we've ever had. I don't care what you fucking say.
It was not a free and fair election when one of the world's largest social media platforms, X, was manipulated and used as an overwhelming source of lies and misinformation to support Trump.
Okay, now I know that I've used this clip before. It was in Whining Liberal Men Part 2, but the thing is, he does bring up 7 points that are completely wrong, so I'd like to go through them. We're going to just break it down point by point, and we'll make it real quick. He's saying that X was used to over-manipulate and spread disinformation. Now, the truth is, when it comes to liberals, no. What happened with X is it became a fair playing field. In 2020, Twitter was completely liberal. Now, X, if you look at the users, they're pretty much all 50-50. But I guess to a liberal that is unfair, because when you're on a level playing field, well, truth prevails.
How is this our Q movement? I mean, I'm glad you're excited, but since the moment Donald Trump has stepped into the political landscape, it's been all self-interest. The only thing I've ever seen him offer is an escape plan for accountability. I mean, he's been impeached multiple times, prosecuted, charged, convicted. He's a felon. Our geopolitical adversaries benefit from him being in charge. I accept that voter turnout could have just been low and this was a fair and free election. I do. But to equate these feelings that people are having en masse to 2020 QAnon, it's laughable. If you can't see the difference in that, you're just as big of a joke as he is.
Hey, Georgia, I know you're going to bring it home today, Georgia. Bring it home, Georgia. Bring it home. Yeah!
2, when a monumental amount of untraceable dark money was funneled into this election, including to run ads that pretended to be from Kamala, but really were hyper-targeted and designed to drive Muslims, Jews, liberals, and black Americans away from her.
Okay, so to his second point, I really don't understand much of what he means when he's talking about dark money. Now, all of the money that was used in the Trump campaign was traceable. If he's referring to money that Elon put in, Elon did it through a PAC. It was completely legal. These commercials, have you guys ever seen them? Designed to look like pro-Kamala commercials, but they were fake to subconsciously screw with your mind and make Muslims and black voters and everything turn against Kamala. I've never seen one of these, so I don't know what the hell he's talking about there.
This election needs to have either a complete recount or a complete revote completely, because there's some shady ass shit going on. Not to mention the 14th Amendment, Section 3, which you can look up online, basically states that what Trump did back on January 6th and everything, his communications with Putin and everything else, makes him not eligible to be president.
I think the most bittersweet aspect of watching the certification today is that by virtue of her role as vice president, Kamala Harris also serves as the president of the Senate. So as each state's electors were verified and certified by the tellers, they kept repeating, Madam President, Madam President, Madam President.
Hey, but we won where it mattered most, right? Rally crowd sizes. You know what it reminded me of every time I saw someone on here bragging about how big our crowds were compared to Trump's crowds, and Trump's crowds were leaving early and all that shit. I'm old enough to remember, I don't know, 4 years ago when we were all dunking on MAGA for bragging about their rally crowd sizes when Joe couldn't get 12 people 6 feet apart in a fucking field because of COVID. Didn't even do rallies. We won that election, if I recall, as we were laughing at MAGA bragging about their rally crowd sizes. Yeah, that never convinced me that we had this in the bag. But yay, we had better rallies. Congratulations, guys. That was awesome.
All right, so he's being a little sarcastic against other Democrat voters here. Other Democrat voters were saying, oh, look, our rallies are much bigger than Trump's. We got this in the bag. So he is kind of right to say, no, he was pretty much saying policy is what matters first without saying that. But what I wanted to say is, no, Trump's rallies were much bigger. There was bigger lineups to go to the toilet at a Trump rally than there was for Kamala. Kamala did have some rallies that appeared to be huge. I know I touched on this, I think it was the last video or the video before. However, a lot of these rally attenders, not voters, were bussed in. There was actually a guy, I should have pulled up the article because I'm thinking about this just off the top of my head now, but there was an article that was pulled up where there was a guy, he was a Trump supporter, who worked in the cell phone business of some sort, and he was pretty much all pinging people's cell phones and pulling out numbers, the amount of cell phone numbers that were in and around arenas for Trump's Trump's rallies and for Kamala rallies. But then what he did notice is a lot of the numbers that he pinged were at several Kamala rallies. And these numbers all were from Atlanta, Georgia, and Savannah. And we've seen a lot of footage of busloads of people being bussed around with Kamala rallies. You never seen that with Trump. Not even a school bus of people being bussed around with Trump. But you've seen that with Kamala. It was smoke and mirrors, or what some of us like to call pro wrestling, cosplay. Her whole campaign run was cosplay.
Yin yang in his ass. Hey, Georgia, yin yang in his ass. Georgia, we finna get Kamala to that White House, baby.
It's the 17th. How about Kamala's message today? Enjoy the holidays and get ready. We're ready. It's coming, folks.
And again, I'm not here to have, this is not a discussion. I'm here to say the quiet part out loud. I don't care if you like me. I don't care what you feel about me. I found my person. I've got a very dope life. But what this boils down to, besides racism, is what you view as masculinity. If you think Trump, Putin, whoever, all of those, if you think that's what men are supposed to be at all, you are a laughingstock to the world right now. You need to know that. I'm just here to break it to you as easy as possible. Like, I hope you listen to me and not, fuck around a bit more. But those aren't men. Not even remotely men.
3, when Republicans take an ungodly number of eligible voters off the voter rolls in state after state.
Okay, so his third point, either he is directly lying to himself and the rest of the world, or he's just a blithering idiot. He's talking about how they took an obscene amount of eligible voters off of the voter rolls. No, the voter rolls were purged, and dead voters were removed, and undocumented immigrants were removed. They tried to fight in court to keep them on, which is embarrassing. The Democrats look kind of foolish. They wanted non-citizens to be able to vote, and they fought for that. They claimed it wasn't going to happen, yet they fought for it in court after. It was a little bit weird, so this guy doesn't know what he's talking about there.
Bottom line is, to be 100% honest, we need a re-election, because there's way too much shady shit going on. Even Republicans are finding out stuff that Trump is planning on doing that they thought meant something completely different originally, and now they're like, oh shit.
So I think every American needs to read this book. It's very educational, it's full of great information and examples that are pertinent to our current situation. Think of it like part of your survival kit for the foreseeable future. It's short, it's a little over like 100 pages, and it's pretty easy to read, so even you MAGA out there can understand it. And it costs like as much as a value meal. So remember, education is power, people.
We believe that Donald Trump isn't fit to become president. We respect that he's been elected, but we respect nothing about the man. We don't respect his racism, his misogyny, and actually the man, in terms, a man that doesn't pay his taxes while demanding that poor people pay theirs.
4, when Trump lied incessantly and was rarely checked by those that interviewed him.
His fourth point, do I even really need to say anything there? Trump was fact-checked all the time. Nobody, like any interview he was on, they would try and fact-check him right on the spot. I really get a kick out of it when these liberals will sit there and say, oh, Trump lies all the time, and nobody checks him. First of all, fact-checking only really became a big thing during the Biden administration, and I think we all know that fact-checkers are just there to cover up truth that they don't want you to know. Trump spoke a lot of truth. Yeah, he embellishes. I'm not saying he lies, but he embellishes. However, the fact-checking was done on Trump left, right, and center, so let's not play around here.
Yin yang in his ass. Hey, Georgia. Yeah.
I genuinely don't understand how you can actually, make this much of a mockery of America and you haven't even been inaugurated yet. You also must feel pretty dumb for voting for this person. And if you don't, then you're far gone. You're far gone. But I've lost all faith in humanity.
Has anyone else just been crying on this app all night? Because it feels like we're losing, like, a community. It feels like we're losing friends. We're losing, like, a platform where we learned so much about things we didn't know about, opportunities, places to eat, movies to watch, books to read. It's like, it's inspiring seeing people talk about how the fish are going to move somewhere else afterwards and how the community is not going to go away, but it just feels like losing a family member, and it's a fucking app. I know I might be being dramatic, and I know I'm not somebody that got some crazy following on this app, but TikTok made a fucking difference for me. And this sucks.
Now, I know most of you guys have already seen this clip, and other content creators have used it in the past couple of days. The reason I wanted to bring it up, though, is I do just want to touch on this whole TikTok thing, the TikTok ban, which is now official. At first, you know, there is a funny side to it, because when I think of TikTok, I go on there for one reason. I go on there to hunt down these videos that we can laugh at, or just find delusional people to have topics about. So I'm looking at it like, these guys are going to lose their little window to complain to. But it does go beyond that. What I was coming across yesterday is content creators on TikTok. They're essentially just having their jobs stripped away from them with no mercy. No, small warning. But the government is just pretty much taking their content creation job away from them without them even having a choice, with no say whatsoever. Now, yes, I do know that their content will still be up there. I'm thinking their content should still be up there. Maybe they'll still create some revenue from it, but they don't have a chance to create any more. So that is a little bit unfair there. But where all of you blue voters should think and use your brains here is, you voted for this. This is caused by a blue government. So the reality is here, is TikTok really that bad of a thing? I've seen some people like, yeah, we got to get rid of it. The Chinese are spying on us. Well, okay, what about Temu? What about Alibaba? What about all these other apps that collect the same data that TikTok collects? Why is only TikTok getting the boot? Is nobody really questioning that? Or is it because on TikTok you can actually correspond with people? Like here in Canada, when the trucker convoy was happening, the whole Freedom Convoy, I think it was at the beginning of 2022, we were only seeing what was really happening because of TikTok. News was showing us a bunch of BS and making these people look like they were a bunch of Nazis. But on TikTok, you were seeing the reality of how in Ottawa, it all of a sudden turned into like a police state. It was pretty creepy to see what Trudeau out here did by using that Emergencies Act and the way that these people were treated. And it was all being live streamed on TikTok. The government doesn't want, the public to be able to see live on the street like that again. I mean, you could still stream from other sites, but TikTok is hyper popular. But again, if TikTok is such a danger because the Chinese are collecting our data, how come Temu gets to stick around? How come Alibaba gets to stick around? How come you're going to keep buying all sorts of parts and microchips and then let them build cell phones for us that we put to our ears that have chips and cameras and everything all over them, collecting our data?
America just chose to elect a convicted felon over the most qualified female candidate in American history. I think this race boiled down to three things: racism, misogyny, and disinformation. Donald Trump turned out racist voters, he turned out misogynist voters, and he tricked uninformed voters by inundating them with disinformation. This is a very disappointing night, and me speaking personally, after having tried to get every single policy of Kamala Harris's out, and after trying to convince people correctly that her policy and plans were going to benefit them, improve their lives, lower their costs, reduce their stresses, Donald Trump still won in the end.
5, when Russia and other bad actors specifically targeted this election to support Trump, and the social media companies have been prohibited and or inhibited from doing anything about it.
I'm not really sure. This is point number 5. I'm not really sure how to answer this one, because I don't see how there was any Russian interference trying to get Trump elected. Putin even came out and said he endorses Kamala. I think that was out of sarcasm. And now he's talking about how social media companies were kind of like prohibited from doing anything about it. No clue what he's talking about there. I'm sure you guys have no clue what he's talking about either. I'm sure he doesn't have a clue what he's talking about.
This is a really shady election. It needs to be done either as a complete re-election or at least a fucking recount. And to all you Trumpers out there that are still supporting him and saying, oh, you shut the hell up about my president, have the day you deserve.
I don't care if Donald Trump doesn't lower prices at the grocery store. I voted for Donald Trump because he hates all the same people I do, and he's going to make their lives a living nightmare the next 4 years. Anyway, I'm late for church. Blessings.
Who am I voting for? Listen, I grew up in the heart of North Carolina, out in the mountains. I grew up a conservative Christian man. God, honor, country, that's what I was taught since I was a kid. Joined the Army after I left high school. Was in it for 13 years. Deployed Iraq, Afghanistan, all over the globe. I'm just a middle-class guy. Isn't it obvious who I'm voting for? My kid's future. My kid's ability to go to school and be safe. My daughter's reproductive freedoms. My ability to pay rent. I'm voting against going backwards. Who am I voting for? What a silly question.
6, when oil and gas companies, crypto bros, and who knows who else were effectively bribed to support Trump.
Were you guys aware of any of the oil and gas companies and crypto bros being bribed to support Trump? Not me. I do recall Trump obviously talking about fracking and, producing energy out of land on their own land and selling oil rather than having to buy oil. So I don't see how these companies could be bribed to support Trump when Trump's in power. Those companies are going to lose money. And I do recall Trump being at the crypto press conference trying to win over their vote. And that didn't really seem much like a bribe either. So again, he doesn't really have much of a point there either.
See, I have been eternally optimistic that I would see the first female president in our country's history. I was sure that this was the time. It's a bittersweet ceremony that occurred today. Half of the nation is celebrating, half of the nation is mourning. An election sealed with a kiss by the woman who lost it. Madam President.
Can you imagine the disappointment for a second? You're a young guy, may even be voting for the first time ever, wearing your red MAGA hat. You're in the bro crowd, listening to all the Russian-sponsored podcasts and toxic masculinity and your body, my choice. You come to find out, you're never going to get laid in life, ever, because you're an asshole. How's that working for you?
And 7, when many voters were intimidated from going to the ballot box for fear of violence. This was not a free and fair election. Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and the right-wing media ecosystem lied. They cheated, and they seemed to collude with foreign powers. And now the freaky narrative is that Democrats are the problem, as opposed to all of these tactics, which are certainly immoral, but should be absolutely illegal. It's fucking absurd. Do you agree?
Okay, so for point number 7, there's not much really to say here. Majority of it, he's just throwing like a man-baby fit. But he's talking about how Democrats were too scared to go to the ballot box to cast their vote because they thought people with red hats were going to be there to beat them up and not let them vote. I doubt there's any truth to that. And the other point that he did bring up, besides pouting and throwing a little bit of a fit, is that the Democrats were to blame. And that's what's going on now, is people are blaming the Democrats. They have every right to. The Democrats didn't speak a very good message. They pretty much just tried to push a hate message. They weren't really speaking policy. Kamala's policy was Trump is bad, Trump is bad, Trump is bad. I'm going to give you 25 grand for a home. And by the way, Trump is bad. Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. That's all she did. She ran a weak campaign. not flawless as many liberals think.
I keep hoping that one day Trump supporters are going to like wake up like Sleeping Beauty or something like that, Rip Van Winkle, something. They're going to fucking snap out of it. I've sometimes called it a hangover, that they're going to, oh, I got to wake up and, oh, what the fuck did I do that for? The craziest thing. So, I mean, he's coming right now going after every form of media. Freedom of speech is kind of like one of our things here, guys. You want freedom of guns, you want the Second Amendment, you want to have freedom of guns, but you don't want freedom of speech. You don't want people speaking. So Trump goes after ABC. They'd have never lost that case ever in a million years, but they pay the guy $15 million. So now this ripple, this shock wave, and you got the Joe and Mikas and all this shit. Everybody, the media, these morons are like shitting their pants and letting this lunatic lead them to believe that they shouldn't speak. You know where this is going to take us to? State-run media. Is that what you want? Do you, I mean, you think it's just going to stifle the words of some of the population? You're going to keep being able to talk as long as you speak favorably about dear leader, but all those other people, no, they don't get to talk. Just we get to talk. So we're going to have this constitution that is for some and not everyone. Just fucking brilliant, guys. Wake the fuck up. He's a fascist piece of shit. What don't you get about this? Come on.
Now, when I came across this clip of this guy, I had to use this. How delusional are these people? He's speaking to conservatives and Republicans. How stupid can you people be? He's going to control your speech. You're not going to have any free speech left. You're going to be censored. Yeah, that's what we've just been going through for the past 4 years. You guys have been able to say whatever you want for the past 4 years. But as soon as we, say anywhere, look, as I pointed out last video, you got to say grapist, pew pew, the jab. You can't talk about anything. And that was all pushed on by the left. I mean, look, Zuckerberg even just admitted it, how much Biden had him censoring. He had him censoring memes. Memes are jokes. But no, you can't make memes. This guy's really trying to convince us that we're about to step into 4 years of not being able to talk, of no free speech, of censorship. No, we just lived through 4 years of that BS, and we finally broke free from it. The next 4 years are going to be awesome, guys. I got one more for you guys. As usual, like, comment, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I don't want to humble brag, but I've been here greeting people, making sure they know what to do as they walk into that booth since 6:30 this morning. It is now 6:30 p.m. Okay? I've been here for 12 fucking hours. No matter how long the line is, stay in it. Once you're in the line, you're in the line. Become one with the line. Scroll TikTok. Ask anybody else around them, hey, do you have anybody have a charger? Maybe have a meet cute. Talk to some people around you. Maybe find out you're bisexual. I don't give a shit. Stay in that fucking line, okay? Because we're doing this tonight. We're getting it done. And I don't care what state. Oh, my state doesn't. No, you fucking stay. There's something on that piece of paper. There's a bubble you got to fill in that's going to be really fucking important for somebody, okay? Might be really fucking important for you. So you stay. And we're going to get this shit done. And we're going to get it done tonight. And then we're going to take a nap. And then we're going to find the new thing that we're going to work on. But tonight, this is it. There is no tomorrow if you leave that fucking